Sewing your own coat is one of the most rewarding projects you can tackle. And with the right tailoring techniques, you'll create a winter wardrobe staple that rivals anything you'd find in a high-end boutique. I'm going to show you 10 expert tips that'll transform your coat from good to absolutely stunning. Today, we'll use the maple peacoat pattern to walk through each technique. And by the end of this video, you'll have everything you need to create a coat you'll actually want to wear for years. Tip 1. Choose fabrics wisely. Let's start with fabric selection because this single decision will make or break your entire project. I've seen too many sewists pour weeks of work into a coat only to be disappointed with the results, and 9 times out of 10, it comes down to the fabric they chose. Here's the thing about coating fabrics. You really need to invest in quality here. Higher quality fabrics are not only easier to handle during construction, they'll give you a coat that lasts for decades. For a peacoat like maple, you'll want heavyweight coating fabrics such as Melton wool, cashmere, boucle, or boiled wool. But before you fall in love with a fabric based on looks alone, put it through my 3 essential tests. First, the crush test. Squeeze the fabric in your hand and release it. If creases or wrinkles stay, you're going to struggle to get that crisp, tailored look. Second, the push test. Push the fabric with your thumbs to check durability. If the yarns separate or the fabric doesn't recover its shape, your coat will stretch out of shape during construction and wearing. Third, test the drape by holding the fabric over your bust line. Does it fall in flattering folds? If not, tailoring this garment is going to be an uphill battle. Here's something most people don't consider. Color matters more than you think. Darker colors hide the inner construction details better, while lighter colors can show seams, hems, and interfacing through to the right side. Darker colors also show less wear from handling and general wear. And fabrics with surface texture, they're actually your friend because they hide stitch imperfections, making them perfect for your first coat project. Tip 2. Give your coat the structure it needs. Now let's talk about interfacing, because this is where a lot of people either skip steps or get completely overwhelmed. Think of interfacing as the skeleton of your coat. It adds body and creates that structured shape that separates a well-made coat from something that looks limp and unfinished. You've got 2 main options here, sew-in or fusible interfacing. Traditional tailoring methods call for sew-in interfacings, but let's be honest, most of us want results without spending months on a single project. That's why I recommend fusible interfacing for this technique. When applied correctly, fusibles provide the same structure with a fraction of the work. You've got 4 types of fusible interfacing to choose from. Woven interfacing is stable both crosswise and lengthwise, but stretches on the bias. Non-woven has crosswise stretch, but no lengthwise stretch, and is generally less flexible. Knit interfacing also has crosswise stretch with no lengthwise stretch, but it's more flexible and provides softer shaping. Finally, weft insertion interfacing is stable in both directions, stretches on the bias, and gives firm yet pliable shaping. For a wool peacoat, you'll want heavier interfacing, but here's the crucial part. Test it first. Fusible interfacing will change how your fabric drapes and moves, so cut some swatches and test different weights to see how your fabric responds. And remember, fusible interfacing doesn't work on every fabric type and shouldn't be used on fabrics that can't handle heat and steam. For the maple pattern, you'll be applying interfacing to the facing, upper collar, bottom and sleeve hems, pocket welts, and buttonhole tabs. Less is often more with interfacing. You want structure where you need it without creating unnecessary bulk. Tip 3. Smooth linings are a must. Next up is lining selection, and this is just as important as choosing your outer fabric. Your lining protects the garment from wear and prevents stretching, but it needs to have the right characteristics. You want something lighter weight with a softer hand, and the surface needs to be smooth so you can slip your arms in and out easily. Synthetic fabrics like polyester and acetate are popular for coat linings because they're durable and hold up to years of wear. But if you prefer natural fibers, cotton lawn, rayon, or silk work beautifully too. Here's a simple test to help you choose the right lining. Run your lining fabric across your outer coat fabric. If it feels sticky or gets caught, it's going to bunch up when you're wearing the finished coat instead of laying smoothly. You want something that glides across the surface of the main fabric without much friction. This is also your chance to add personality to your coat. While you might choose a neutral outer fabric, the lining is the perfect place for a subtle pop of color or even a fun print. Just keep in mind that your lining is often visible when you move. Tip 4. Always make a test garment. This might sound like overkill, but creating a test garment first will save you so much heartache later. This test garment lets you visualize how the coat will hang, perfect the fit, and troubleshoot construction challenges before you touch your expensive fabric. Personally, I have a rule. I always make a test garment whenever I'm sewing either outerwear or pants. These are the projects where fit is crucial, and if I'm going to invest time in making them, I want them to be just the way I want. When sewing your test garment, use an inexpensive fabric and a similar weight to your final garment. Try on your muslin at different points of the fitting process, after major seams, after sleeve attachment, and before final adjustments. Include 1-inch seam allowances on the shoulders and lengthwise seams to allow for fit adjustments. Fit this test garment to be slightly larger than your final coat to account for the bulk that interfacing and lining are going to add. You can also use this opportunity to practice techniques like welt pockets or buttonhole placement. This is your chance to work out all the details and questions you might have. Mark all your alterations clearly on both the muslin and pattern pieces, then transfer these changes to your final fabric with confidence. Tip 5, pre-shrink everything. Yes, everything. Now let's talk about fabric prep, because skipping this step has broken more hearts than I can count. Pre-shrinking your fabrics will save you from the devastation of a finished coat that's suddenly too snug. Pre-shrink both your main fabric and lining using the same method you'll use to care for the finished coat: steam pressing for dry clean only fabrics or gentle washing for washable materials. Let the fabrics rest overnight after pre-shrinking to allow the fibers to settle naturally. This is especially crucial for natural fibers since they tend to shrink when steamed. And remember, fusible interfacing requires a lot more steam during application. You should even pre-shrink your fusible interfacing by holding your iron just above the piece and steaming gently for a few seconds with the resin side down. The edges might drop slightly, but this won't impact your finished product. Speaking of getting these techniques right, this month, Seamwork members get access to the new maple peacoat pattern we're using for all of these examples, plus the gorgeous garnet blouse. Both patterns come free with membership. Tip 6, pressing makes all the difference. Let's dive into pressing techniques, because this is where the magic really happens. Without proper pressing tools and techniques, even the best construction will look mediocre. You'll need some specialized tools here, but they're investments that'll transform every garment you make. A tailor's ham is essential for pressing shaped areas like darts, curved seams, the collar, and the sleeve cap. One side is covered in wool and holds steam when pressing wool fabrics, while the cotton side should be used for high temperature pressing. A sleeve board is like a mini ironing board for pressing small details and narrow openings like finished sleeve hems. A clapper, that rounded wooden block, is used to flatten seams, folds, and enclosed edges. The cool hardwood speeds up steam removal and cooling to set the press. A point presser is perfect for pressing open lapel and collar points, and a seam roll helps you press seams open without imprinting your seam allowances on your outer garment. Accurate pressing is essential for opening and flattening seams and getting crisp edges and hems without those dreaded iron marks on our outer garment fabric. If done correctly, you don't have to worry about your fabric texture, color, or finish changing. Here's how to do it right. Before pressing your pattern pieces, test iron and steam setting results on scrap fabric to see how it reacts. You want to avoid any surprises that'll damage your outer garment fabric. To press a straight seam, press it flat first to smooth the stitching line. Then place the seam over your seam roll, keeping it perfectly straight. Open the seam with your fingers, then hit it with steam as you glide the point of the iron along the seam line, focusing on one small section at a time. Place your clapper on the steamed area and press down with both hands, holding it in place till the area is cool and dry. For curved seams, notch the curves first to remove excess fabric. The notches need to be close and deep enough to allow the seam allowances to lay flat. Press the seam flat, then position it on your tailor's ham and press the seam open along the curve. This prevents distortion and stretching that would ruin the shape of your coat. Once you've pressed a seam, let it cool completely before moving the fabric. If you must move it, lift and support it with both hands to prevent stretching. Tip 7. Perfect your welt pocket placement. Now let's tackle welt pockets, because these are a hallmark of quality tailoring. The maple pattern includes single welt pockets, and while they require precision, they're absolutely achievable with the right approach. Cut your pocket pieces precisely and mark the placement lines accurately on both the coat front and pocket pieces. Take time to base the welt in position before final stitching. Adjustments are nearly impossible once you've sewn them. Practice this technique on scraps first, because poorly executed welt pockets can make or break the polished finish of your entire coat. If you're feeling intimidated by welt pockets, you're not alone. They're definitely one of those techniques that can make or break the look of your coat. That's exactly why we created our welt pocket skills workshop. We walk you through 3 different types: an easy self-welt pocket, a single welt, and a double welt. Plus, we'll show you how to adjust your approach for different fabric weights and troubleshoot those frustrating issues that always seem to pop up. You'll also see some gorgeous finishing details that really make these pockets shine. I put the link in the description below. Tip 8. Interface hems for extra body. Adding weight to your hems gives your coat that substantial feel of expensive ready-to-wear. The maple pattern includes interfacing pieces for both the front and back hems and the sleeve hems. This interfacing adds body, provides support for the weight of the hem, and prevents stretching at hem edges, which are prone to wear. To hem with fusible interfacing, press a light crease at the hem fold line first, then fuse the interfacing strips to the hem allowance. This creates that substantial, well-finished edge that makes all the difference in how your coat hangs and wears. Tip 9. Keep your top stitching slow and steady. Here's where your coat really comes together. Top stitching adds that final layer of polish and reinforces all the important structural areas. I know you might be tempted to rush through this part because you're so close to finishing, but trust me, taking your time here is what will give your coat a professional looking finish. Start by using your clapper to flatten all the edges you'll be top stitching. This step alone will make a huge difference in how clean your lines look. Switch to a top stitch needle and increase your stitch length slightly from what you used for construction. Then take your time and keep a steady, consistent speed. The maple has top stitching around the collar, lapels, front edges, and on those beautiful welt pockets and button tabs. This is the detail that gives you that tailored, expensive look that makes the whole project worth it. Tip 10, make your final details count. This is where all your careful work comes together. Your buttonholes and button choice are the final details that separate a good coat from an exceptional one. Always test your buttonhole settings on fabric scraps first. To get the best results, your test scraps should be similar thickness to the final coat edge. That means using 2 layers of your coating fabric with 1 layer having the interfacing fused to it. Adjust your stitch settings so that the stitch density and length are perfect for your fabric weight. Take extra time marking those buttonhole positions and double check that everything aligns properly. On a double-breasted coat like maple, precise placement and execution are absolutely critical. Any misalignment will be glaringly obvious when you're wearing it. And here's where you get to make this coat truly yours. Those special buttons you've been saving, this is their moment. The right button choice transforms your well-made garment into something that feels completely bespoke and uniquely you. When you master these wool coating techniques, you'll have skills that transfer to so many other advanced sewing projects. But choosing the right wool for your next project can feel overwhelming, especially when you're shopping online. Once you understand the characteristics of different wool types, fabric shopping becomes so much easier and you'll know exactly what to look for in any project. Watch this video next to discover 12 types of wool that'll completely transform your sewing.